On this episode of Game Shack, I have 7 things that AtGames can do to keep their heads above water during these trade wars. All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. All right, let's just jump right on into it. Trade wars are still raging and are likely to be doing so for at least a few more weeks, maybe a few months, maybe leading up to Christmas. Obviously, that'd be a disaster for a lot of industries, but the home arcade niche of video games has really been hurt in the last year and a half, thanks largely due to arcade one-ups kind of implosion. The first thing I think that AtGames should do is just formally announce the death of the 4K ALU. While it probably did look good on paper a year and a half, 2 years ago, as this niche has evolved and of course the tariffs, the raison d'etre for having a 4K home arcade machine has really gone down, and they really did need to have 50 to 100 type games that are unplayable on the ALU, and that was never announced either. So without those games and now with those extra tariffs, I think AtGames should say that the 4KP is dead. Things could change, of course, but for now, there's just not going to be any 4KP. Just put the final nail in that coffin. Another thing that AtGames could do was kind of go more all in on the ALU. So I have a couple of suggestions for that. One, give us some variants. Give us a variant that does have a 27-inch screen in it. You can already get the HD marquee for it, which is super slick, but maybe have that be included in the package. Maybe give us a version that has LED lighting on it, or glow in the dark / backlight type lighting. Heck, maybe even give us a refrigerator in that thing. Give us some choices to pick that ALU, because the ALU is still, in my mind, the king of the home arcades, because it is the right size for 2 grown people to actually play 2-player games on. The screen is already bigger than anything in class, so if you could somehow make that just a 27-inch HD, doesn't need to be 4K, maybe jazz it up a little bit, give us different side art, give us different skins that we can put on there. There are a few you can get. I think they have Space Invaders and Operation Wolf, or maybe Bubble Bobble, something like that, but give us more, give us a lot more. Give us a Tempest skin. Give us some of the things that are on this machine. Just give us the option to do that, and I think maybe people will be more interested in it. My second set of suggestions also relates to the HD ALU, and primarily that's 2 things. One, give us better spectate mode. Make things easier to get involved with the spectate mode. Have that spectate mode work better than it does. Just generally speaking, try to help the community that does own these ALUs, and that's thousands of us, right? Let us be able to play a little easier. Let us set up tournaments the way you can do on Steam. There are a lot of things that can be done with relatively minor tweaking that could really up the play value of the ALU. In other words, give us a reason to play these games on here versus playing it on some other thing like Steam or on these RetroPie builds or Pandora boxes, right? The more we have a reason to actually turn this machine on would be more of a reason for us to buy game packs and buy the machine in the first place if you don't already own one. So that's another suggestion, of course, is to give us more game packs on here, even if it's something for like the Odyssey or ColecoVision. Give us something to buy for this machine. It is an incredible machine. The more game packs we can have on there, the better. Another thing to look at is removing that fee that they're charging for OTG. Kind of go back to that 0.68 firmware and let us have the freedom to play these games easier than we have now. Let us have that front end system. Again, to inspire more people to buy the machine in the first place, and those of us who own the machine might help us turn it on and play it more often than we do. Another suggestion for the ALU is if AtGames doesn't think it's worth it to give us variants with LED lighting or refrigerators or jukebox modes or things like that, one of the things that they could do is bring back that Bit Blaster gun that they had demoed. They actually have pictures of it, and I thought that was a great idea idea to play shooting games on the ALU, particularly if they did give us that 27-inch screen variant. That could be an incredible playing experience with a screen that big, with guns that either connect in through a wire or a wireless. That would be really cool. Another cool thing they could offer, again, to give us more features on the same machine is a steering wheel. Give us, you know, something that we can clamp on or just put in all together. I don't know how realistic that is, but I know that Bit Blaster is a realistic thing. It would be great to play on this 24 and or 27-inch screen if they have it. So yeah, give us that Bit Blaster and maybe a steering wheel. And again, it makes that ALU even more appealing than it already is. The thing that is really, I think, holding AtGames kind of in a catch-22 situation right now is the 4KP. Now, I love the 4KP. I think it is an incredible machine. Even at some of these higher prices, you're still not going to find anything else on the market quite like it. And so I really do think that $999 is the price point they have to hit. Again, this is going to be after the tariff thing has sorted out, but I think they really need to hit that price point. So how do you get down to the $999 price point for that 4KP? Remember that the cheapest it ever was, I think it was $11.99, and that was in that first month it was available, and that was for the Adams family. That thing is now going for, I think, $2,100. Here you can see some of the prices. They've gone up dramatically here in the last few days. Now, they gave us full warning, so I'm not complaining about it per se. However, people were already not buying the machine at the cheaper prices. It seems very unlikely that they're going to buy more of these machines out that the prices has come up. So I think that they really do need to give us a $999 version of it. And so one of the things they can do on that is to get the licensed art off the machine. I know that's not what people want. However, if it's between that and charging a couple extra $100, then give us the plain gray black machine or multi-cade if that's cheaper. But be willing to buy a machine that doesn't have the art on there. No topper, no side art, anything like that. Another thing that they could do is, instead of the very nice glass top that they have covering the playfield, if they just made that plexiglass, it would make the packaging lighter, because that thing is heavy as heck, and of course cheaper to make than tempered pinball glass, which is quite expensive. I'm guessing that glass top probably cost them right around $80, maybe even $100. I know it costs over $100 to get real glass on a normal pinball game, and this isn't that much smaller. So again, there might be some way that they could lessen the cost there. They could give us cheaper legs. They could just overall give us a cheaper package so that they can kind of cut out the iArcade catch-22 situation that they're in, right? It's like the iArcade in that the iArcade was a very well-built machine, better built than anything else at the time that was out, but they really made their money on selling the game. So when you had a high cost for the machine, it meant that you weren't going to buy the games because you were unwilling to pay the high cost for the machine. Well, they're kind of in a similar situation at AtGames, right? In that they have to sell these games, particularly these Zen games, if they want to keep Zen happy. But the only way they can do that is by expanding their user base. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is to lower the cost of that 4KP. And I really do think that $999 is the price point that a lot of people just say, no, I'm not going above that. And the reality is some of these pins now are going to be closer to $2,500, $2,600, and that's before you put in a control panel. That's before you buy a whole bunch of games. That's definitely a no bueno for a lot of people. You can start to build your own machine for that money. You can really make a very nice virtual pinball machine for $2,500. Whereas at $999, you'd be very challenged to make something close to that 4KP. So again, I don't know if it's possible, and I don't know if you guys are interested in that. Please comment down below. But to me, I think they really have got to look at some version of their pinball that you can play those Zen games on, so it still has the new chipset, but it comes in at that $999 price point. All right, so if you dig this kind of content and want to keep seeing home arcade content on this channel, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell if you have, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit EvilGeniusEntertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.